Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Spirit Side Podcast, where we look at your world from a balanced and spiritual perspective. I'm your host, Paul James Caden, and in today's show, we're going to be talking about, are you protesting the lockdown? And I think a lot of people are protesting a lot of things right now in the world. Folks are definitely angry, they're frustrated, they're scared, they're confused. And it's showing. People are kind of reaching the end of their rope. Even on Wednesday's podcast here on the Spirit Side, I had quite a ranting show with a lot of colorful language. And there were some people that loved that show. Some people that were shocked by that show, and some people didn't like it at all. There's too much swearing. I didn't like hearing you do that. And that's understandable. I get that because I'm usually not that way. But I think right now everybody is feeling that frustration. And it's not only me. I'm glad it's not only me. I'm seeing a lot of people, good people, very meek and mild, quiet, spiritual people, posting things on social media or making videos they're putting up, and they're ranting. They're cursing and swearing, and I think people need to purge. At least that's what it was for me. I had all that emotion and that anger and that frustration, and I just felt it swirling around within myself for several days. And I said, I gotta let this out. I gotta be real. And I think we all need that every once in a while, or it builds up and it comes out in other ways. But it seems like everybody is just reaching the end of the rope on both sides of the argument, both sides of the coin. And I think all of this is really a result of how divided and selfish and self-centered and materialistic we've become as the human race. Everybody wants what they want when they want it, and they want it now. Everybody has their opinions, and those opinions are not up for debate. They're not even up for friendly discussion. People have this attitude or this way of thinking that, hey, these are my thoughts, and this is what I think. Therefore, it should be the rule of the land. And we can't think that way. We have to take other people's feelings into consideration. And right now, everybody's shouting, but nobody's listening. And that's a dangerous place to be in. And that brings us to today's topic, today's question. Are you protesting the lockdown? Are you tired of the quarantine life? And I fully understand there are people that want to get back to work. The economy's taking a big hit. Some of the local economies are doing much worse than others. So this is a situation that we've never really faced before in our world, or at least in the modern day world, in our modern day lives. This is all new to us. And, I think that there could have been better plans made so that so many people's jobs weren't lost or laid off. The economy wasn't taking such a major hit. I was telling my wife this morning, maybe it would have been a good idea if we're all on lockdown or practicing social distancing, that maybe we should have said or made the plan that, nobody goes to the supermarket, but You can do all your normal shopping online. Maybe the retail stores, whether they be clothing stores or bookstores or grocery stores or whatever, maybe they should have kept all of their employees on. The cashiers, the salespeople, the stock people, the maintenance people, everybody. The night crew, the day crew. And maybe they just should have converted temporarily and had all of their employees become grocery delivery people. Because what happened when all of this hit, they were saying, oh, it's going to be days or weeks before you can get your groceries delivered if you do online shopping because we don't have enough delivery people. Well, and then there are some companies that scrambled to hire all these new people to deliver groceries. I mean, what would have happened if stores kept their employees on? People wouldn't have lost their jobs. People could have shopped normally online. Maybe the economy wouldn't be taking such a massive hit because retail makes up a big chunk of the economy. People would be getting paid. I think there's a lot of little things we could have done differently to make this not such the complete disaster that it was and that it is. And I think we have to understand sometimes it takes time to figure those kinds of things out. But if we're all just worried about what we want and to hell with the next guy, I'll think what I want and to hell with the next guy, if that's the attitude we're going to take, we're not going to come together to make any kind of reasonable plan that's going to help us all. And I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, but we're seeing this across the board. I'm a little shocked at people that, applaud the president for wanting to reopen the country so quickly when there are so many medical experts and scientists saying, don't rush this. If you rush this, if you go into this too quickly, you're going to see a major resurgence in some of these states that have low COVID-19 cases. It's only low because it hasn't really hit there yet, but eventually it's going to. And if you put all these people back to work, they're possibly going to face a disaster just like New York City. Because this thing spreads fast, this thing spreads like wildfire. All we need is a few sick people out there working, going out in society, cough in their hand, open a door, someone comes behind them, opens the door, rubs their eye, touches their face. I mean, no pun intended, but the outbreak goes viral. But the president, he's not listening to anybody. I just saw someone who posted on Facebook last night that the Surgeon General was on an interview on one of the stations on Sirius XFM doing an interview, and he said that Donald Trump and the coronavirus task force got rid of all the models that were put out by the World Health Organization, got rid of all the models that were put out by the CDC, dumped everybody, including any doings with the Bill Gates Foundation, which was probably a good thing because Bill Gates is a jackass and he should stick with building computers and not trying to come up with digitized vaccines that he wants to stick in everybody's arm. And then come up to say, and if you don't have this vaccine, you can't go out in society and live a normal. But, who is he? I mean, the guy that created Windows is now going to be, partial dictator of the world? I don't think so. So that's probably not a bad idea to tell this guy to get lost. But when you're getting rid of everybody across the board, because here's the president, and I said this in my big ranting show on Wednesday, and maybe I said it with too many decorative words around it, where the thought, maybe didn't register as well as it should have or could have. But here we have the President of the United States taking this stance that people in society are taking. And what is that? Just what I said before. I'll think my own thoughts. They're my ideas. This is what I think. So therefore, they must be the law of the land. My opinions are not up for debate. They're not even up for friendly discussion. This is how Donald Trump thinks. And just like so many other people in the world right now, when somebody comes along and tries to even have an intelligent discussion with him, you're fired, you're out, we don't want your data, we're not listening, you're fake news, you're a fake scientist, you're this, you're that, get out. It is a fact that he believes that the entire success of his presidency is based on the economy. That is what will get him reelected. That's what will keep his numbers up in popularity amongst the people. And this is what he will be remembered for. Now, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that goal. I want to give America a strong economy. That's a good thing. But when you're so hell-bent on doing that you could actually be endangering lives and setting people up, setting the country up for thousands of more deaths, where you're so obsessed with that you're not even willing to listen to what someone else says about the data or the situation or what very well could happen. Now, it might not. And I hope Donald Trump is right. When the governor of New York, which I live in New York State, and he was saying they needed something like 400,000 ventilators for this outbreak. And Donald Trump said, well, I don't think you'll need that money or that many. And thank goodness he was right. We didn't need 400,000 ventilators. So let's hope somewhere along the line that maybe he has some kind of insight or information coming in that we don't have a second resurgence. But I don't know. I personally am one of these people that are feeling kind of uneasy about this. I feel like this could very well cost a lot more lives, and that this is a mistake, especially when he is so slow and so delinquent on the testing. That's an important part of reopening the economy, is getting the testing out there, that people can be tested before they go back to work, tested when they are back to work. Make sure everybody is virus free. But it just seems to be, something that he keeps saying, all these, hundreds of thousands or millions of tests were shipped, but people are saying they're not getting them. And then some of the ones they say they give a false positive or a false negative. They're faulty tests. So we can't just throw, hash against the wall here and say, okay, there you go, we're ready, we're all set. We can't half-ass it. So these are my concerns, and I hope people can understand this. It's a fine idea to have a strong economy. Yes, we need to get people back to work. Yes, we should have done things differently so many people wouldn't be out of work right now during all of this. I think we could have started to prepare earlier, where we just could have snapped certain things into place, and it wouldn't have been such a devastating event. And it's also a fact that back in December or January, that Donald Trump was warned, that this pandemic was coming, and he ignored it. He disassembled and got rid of the team that was in the White House that would deal with this sort of thing or anticipate this kind of thing. And then he's trying to shift the blame to the World Health Organization, which, yes, they have their own problems. Definitely have their own problems. Yes, as he said, they've always been very China, pro-China, even though China doesn't give them as much money as the United States does. But you can't shift blame, which he seems to be very, very much a pro at doing. Shift the blame. So again, it's a good thing to want to have a strong economy, but at the risk of just saying, I'm not listening to anything or anyone else, I'll do what I want, and at the risk of this thing having a major resurgence. And let's remember, in the second resurgence of the Spanish flu, it took more lives than the second. So we have to be very, very, very careful at this juncture in the game. And for all the people who are protesting lockdown, are you one of them? Have you thought about this? I saw a woman on the news, saying, if you want to stay home, but, I'm not afraid of the virus. We want to get back to work. Well, that's fine. But now let's take a look at this particular attitude and stance for a minute. This is probably the kind of woman that would go into the grocery store. Now, she's not afraid of the virus. Let's remember, I want what I want when I want it. It's what people think. This is how people think. And they also have the thought, these are my thoughts, this is what I think, therefore it's the law of the land. She's not afraid of the virus. But this is the kind of jackass that could have the virus and have pretty mild symptoms. Maybe she has a cough, maybe she's fatigued, maybe she has muscle aches and a low-grade fever, and she just says to herself, it's just a cold. Even if it is the virus, I'm not worried about it. It's not going to kill me. I'm still functional. I'm still functioning out here. And it's probably not the virus anyway. I'm just going to go about my normal daily life. So here is the kind of putz that's going to walk into a grocery store, stand 2 feet away from someone online, and right out in the open air, infect someone else. That someone else affects someone else. And those people may not be so lucky. They may be the people who end up in ICU with a tube down their throat and a machine breathing for them. And these may be the people who die. Or these may be the people like the one poor family that had 3 members of their family die of the virus. This is somebody's mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, brother, sister. Because remember, there are people that are young and healthy and athletic that are fighting for their lives and dying right now from this virus. It is not an old person virus only. So you might not be afraid of the virus. To you, it's nothing. But let's go back to that thought that people have when they think, these are my thoughts. I'll think what I want. It's not up for debate. Therefore, it's the law of the land. Don't you dare debate me on it. Don't you dare challenge me on it. Don't you dare even try to have a discussion with me about it that I'm possibly wrong, because I'll just jump down your throat. That's how people are. So that's wonderful for her. And that's wonderful for all the other people that sit around, we want to go back to work. Now, there's some people legitimately, they need the money. They need to try to do something. They want the local economy, the national economy to start picking up. Again, understandable. But when you're going into this thing with just complete ignorance, saying this whole thing was uncalled for, we shouldn't have done this in the first place, this whole lockdown is unconstitutional. Again, these are the kind of nitwits that are going to be behind you at the grocery store without a mask. They're playing with your life because they don't give a damn. This is nothing to them. Oh, if you're scared, stay home. Well, that doesn't mean that you can come to the damn grocery store and cough all over everybody else. Or like the guy I saw in the grocery store, mid-pandemic, coughing in his hand, picking up all the meat in the meat area of the supermarket, looking at it, putting it back down, going down the cereal aisle, looking at boxes of cereal, putting them back, take one off, put it in his cart, take another one, look, put it back. The mindless drone people, it's nothing to them. They're not afraid. This is all so unconstitutional. But in the same breath, these people don't consider other folks at all. I think what I think. Here they go again. I think what I think. I don't really care what you think. If you're afraid, stay home. I should be allowed to come into the store or come into the Department of Motor Vehicle or wherever we happen to be and just cough all over you and several other people, cough all over the stuff on the supermarket shelves, cough all over your desk, and you shouldn't say a word about it because I'm not worried about it. I just want to get back to work. And see, it's that kind of supreme stupidity that if economies open too early, if businesses start opening too early, it is that kind of absolute supreme ignorance and stupidity that is going to cause the second massive resurgence of coronavirus quicker than you can spit. Because people don't care. As I said several times in this podcast already, people don't care and they just think, I want what I want and I want it now. I'll think what I think and this is what I think and it is right and it is the law of the land. I don't care what you think. You're a fool if you challenge me. You're a fool if you say anything. But these people just completely ignore anything else that anybody says on the opposing side. Now, are there people on the opposing side of this whole lockdown thing that are going maybe too far with it? Yes. Are there people getting on the news media as they have in the past and projected these big numbers and, scaring the crap out of people? And they were wrong and they should have kept their mouth shut? Yes. But there's also more middle of the road common sense people saying, hey, we need to back it up just a little bit. But we can't have idiots like the governor of I think it's Wisconsin, this person, banning everything. If you have a boat, you can't take it out on the water. Well, you can't walk your dog. She's just throwing out all kind of ridiculous things that, have nothing to do with social distancing or, trying to live the quarantine life. And yes, that's aggravating some people. They're wondering what the hell she's talking about. And I can understand that. This is hard enough. We don't need to make it any harder by coming up with some stupid, idea. Don't even go out on your own front porch. Now, I don't know if she said that, but I think she's said things that are close to that. And people are just like, what the hell? What is this? So again, I get that sort of thing. But we also need to listen to the middle of the road common sense people. Just like my friend and relative and co-host of People Under the Stairs said, what kind of, on his podcast, he said, what kind of foolishness was it when they told people not to wear masks out in public when this all started? Because it only takes a little common friggin' sense to realize that mask isn't perfect, but it's a barrier. It ups your chances of not getting the virus. It's a block. It's a wall. It doesn't take some kind of rocket scientist to figure that out. And I don't know why in the world these medical professionals came out and people from the CDC when this all started and said, well, you don't really need to wear a mask, especially if you're healthy. I even told my wife, I said, what kind of crap is that? Are they trying to make people sick? Is this some kind of depopulation ploy? Don't wear a mask so we can infect more people? I mean, what was that? I'm just an idiot from the country, and I knew that was absolutely incorrect. So sometimes we have to listen to what people say, and we have to balance it with a little common sense before we go protesting, and I'm not afraid of the virus. Well, yeah, you're just the kind of jackass idiot that's going to go out there and infect a whole bunch of other people, and they're going to lose family members. But that's okay because you're back to work. And you're not afraid, so yay for you. Too bad for them. I guess they should have stayed home. Well, I guess your stupid ass shouldn't have been out there coughing all over people. And this is why a lot of this has been implemented, where everybody's looking at it like, oh, the big tyrannical government. And it is, the government's not our friend. But people don't think. There's a pandemic going around. What's the natural reflex to that? You stay away from sick people. I said that in other podcasts. You stay away. You keep your distance. I have a stepdaughter who's disabled. She gets a cold. I keep my distance. If I have to tend to her, change her diaper, I put a mask on me and I put a mask on her. And I wash my hands in Purell when I'm done. And I haven't caught a cold from her, knock on wood, when she's had one, in years now. Before I implemented the masks and all that other stuff, me and my wife, She got a cold. We got a cold. The whole house had a cold. But exercising a little common sense, we don't. But people can't do that. People couldn't do that. There's a massively contagious virus out there that is completely alien to us. And people are just on top of one another, coughing in the open air, sneezing in the open air, blowing their nose and, touching things in the store. It doesn't matter. I'm okay. I'm functioning. It doesn't matter that I just might, even if I have the seasonal flu and I'm just that careless like so many people are, I could give it to other people and they could lose their lives. We don't have consideration for our fellow human beings. And the government sadly knows this, and this is why they had to lock it down and put restrictions, because people don't listen. Just like here in New York State, everybody was running here and there. We don't want to stay in quarantine. Everything was closed. The parks, suddenly everybody wants to go to the park. Groups of people. When they close the parks, everybody runs to the golf courses, and everybody's in big clusters and crowds in the golf courses, and people are getting sick. So the governor had to shut down the golf courses because people are ignorant and stupid and selfish, and we need to stop. We need to stop. And we need to think before we speak. Like this idea, we should all go back to work. We should just open up, the world and go about life as we usually do and let the virus run its course. Well, that sounds like a wonderful plan. But again, do you know how many thousands and thousands of deaths that would cause? You think something like 800 a day or 2,000 some odd, whatever it is in New York City is a big number? We probably would be looking at the millions of deaths across the country and the world if we did that. Yeah, we can let the virus run its course, but think and have consideration for your fellow human being. Don't be stupid. If it runs its course, a lot of people are going to die. And here's the thing that really blows my mind. People don't even consider, if we let the virus run its course, that's what we should do. Because so-and-so, this, big famous, disease guy said that this is what we should do. They don't even take into consideration they might be one of the people that die if we let the virus run its course. Just because they're young and healthy and athletic doesn't mean they're going to be okay. Because a lot of young, strong, and athletic people have already died of this virus. And what if of all the thousands and millions of people that die if we let the virus run its course through society, what if some of those people are your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your grandparents, your neighbor, your best friend, you? See, there goes that ignorance. Well, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. We shouldn't be on lockdown. I shouldn't be out of work. We should just let this run its course and have it be done. So I can go out there and go to a ball game, and I can go out there and go to the grocery store, and I can go do whatever it is I want to do and go to my job. Does it change your perspective at all if you think that by doing that, you could actually die? Does it change your perspective at all that it could be your loved ones that die? Every member of your family, your wife, your kids could die. People that you know, Even if you don't die, you could infect them and they could lose husbands and wives and siblings. Is that what we want? Just to satisfy our own selfish needs and wants? I want this. I want my life the way I want it and the way it was. So let's just let this thing run rampant. Get it over with. Are we that selfish? Are we that stupid? Are we that ignorant? Are we that immoral that we don't consider life sacred? Because look what we're doing. Look what we're saying. Look how we're acting. You know, there's a proverb in the Bible that says the fool pays no heed to the advice of others, but takes great pleasure in airing his own opinions. And the book of Proverbs also says that the end of the fool is destruction and evil. And I would propose to you at the end of this show, how many of us are acting the part of the biblical fool? Are you? Is our president? Are other politicians? How many of us don't care to hear the opinions of others, even if they're wise opinions, but we take great pleasure in airing our own opinions because we're so right, we're so wonderful, we want what we want. The way we think is the way it should be for everybody, and we don't consider what those consequences might be for ourselves, our loved ones, or other people around us. Because the end of that kind of foolishness, as the book of Proverbs says, the end will be destruction and evil. Because you can't live that way and expect not to reap a very bitter harvest in the end. We need to change, folks. And I hope you'll share this podcast. I hope you'll consider what was said in this podcast, because if we don't stop the way we're acting and thinking and treating one another and being so selfish and blind, God knows what's ahead for the human race. But I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to be good. And maybe when we read about things like the apocalypse and great tribulation in the books of the Bible, maybe this isn't the wrath of God coming upon us to punish us for our sins, as some of the hellfire and brimstone preachers say. Maybe it's just the results of our own stupidity and our own bad choices. I'm Paul James Caden. I thank you for listening to the show today. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, everybody. Please consider the feelings and the well-being of others around you, not only during this time, but all the time. That's what we need in this world. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time here on the Spirit Side.